What's going on there, Twitch and YouTube world, and welcome to February's edition of Loadouts to Win Games. Now, what I am going to do is try a different format for this particular video because honestly, nothing has really changed from my video I released last month. So if you're looking for more of a gun pairing type guide, make sure you check that out. But for this particular video, I'd like to talk about which guns are strongest in their particular category. Then we'll talk about the limb meta, and I'll go over a few strategies on different combinations that you could take advantage of. So without further ado, let's dive into it. The first loadout that, of course, we're going to talk about is SMGs. And honestly, they are in a really, really good spot right now. Every single one of the SMGs is a viable option in the game. I honestly think they are the best ground loot option. If you find one, scoop one, you are ready to start slaying immediately. I don't think that can be said about any other category, with the exception of maybe shotguns. Now, Tacoma is going to be uno numero, aka number one, because of its wonderful fire rate, its ability to thrive in both close and medium exchanges, and it's just very reliable as a whole. Now, taking a look at the build that I'm going to recommend, it is what I refer to as the Pioneer clone. You'll build this by putting the heavy stock, the heavy grip, the drum mag, and the heavy barrel. Virtually every player is going to recommend this gun. If not, they'll probably give you some other SMG, but like I said, they're all kind of tied for the number 2 spot. We're going to be covering those in just a couple seconds. If I were to make any changes or variation to this, some folks do like to try and boost that accuracy bar as much as possible. So you could sacrifice something like the Tacoma Heavy Grip with the compact flashlight. You will get more accuracy and a little bit less recoil control, which is not too bad, to be completely honest with you, as this gun doesn't really have a really squirrely effect and is going to be very optimal for you in any build scenario. Now, other than the Tacoma being the clear number one candidate, let's talk about the other SMGs in the game because they are all cooking. We'll start off with the AZV-100. This thing is the medium range king. If you are going to take a close quarters fight, you're pretty much guaranteed to take a L to a Tacoma, Woodpecker, Kochi. But if they're a little bit further distanced out, this is going to be a 3T4 tap kill. It doesn't require a lot of work, but I think the reason why it loses in closer range exchanges is just the fire rate while you are busy trying to let out a burst fire clip. Now we have the AZV-100 heavy stock, the AZV-100 drum mag, the AZV-100 heavy barrel, and the enhanced compensator for the AZV-100. Now, you could move some things around on this particular build, but my focus here is getting a little bit more distance since this is the medium range king. And then, of course, a little bit of recoil control and accuracy is never a bad take. We don't really have a major need for, mobility and handling for a gun that's going to be used further away. Now, if this is number one and number one, right? Number one in terms of short range, number one in terms of medium range. Every other SMG in the game is going to be taking the number 2 spot in terms of just, is this an effective gun? So I'm not saying the kite's better than the woodpecker or the woodpecker's better than the kite or that the kite is better than the Kochi. It's your preference. Now, we'll take a look at the kite build that I'm going to recommend for most players. This is going to have the kite light stock, the kite light grip, the kite drum mag, and the compensator for the kite. This has been one of my go-to weapons for a very long time, and in the earlier seasons, maybe like October and November, this was the king. Unfortunately, with some of its changes, or really just changes to the other guns, and the fact that they dropped 4 or 5 bullets out of the magazine, it's not as viable as it once was. Now, other than the kite, the woodpecker is going to be my next recommendation. If you have a really strong headshot in terms of just how you aim or your consistency in how you aim, I think the woodpecker is a great tool. I like to use the woodpecker heavy barrel, the enhanced compensator for the woodpecker drum mag, and the woodpecker light grip. This thing is a machine. 10, 15 bullets, you get a free kill. But one of the things that will always be a drawback is that lower mag size. So this is kind of going to be a swapper. And whenever I'm using the woodpecker, I either use two woodpeckers or a woodpecker and some other SMG. This isn't the kind of SMG I think that makes a good all-rounder by itself. Now, other than the woodpecker, we are going to move on to the Kochi. The Kochi, in my opinion, is one of the best guns in the game, but it does have some drawbacks. First, it is the highest TTK in the entire game. I want to give a huge shout out to Red Dragon. And side note, make sure you all check out his YouTube channel when you have a chance. He's put in a lot of time and effort into creating those TTK charts or Google Sheet docs for us. So if you want to see what are the numbers behind a lot of these weapons and how you can test them on your own, he's the right guy to check out some content for. Now, I have found in my particular set of testing that accuracy is better than recoil control. And if you're busy trying to trim down recoil control, you should just get better. This is me saying, get good, bro. But ultimately, accuracy ensures that your bullets are hitting in those moments when you feel like you're within the hitbox of your opponent that's in front of you. So this is what I've cooked up. We have the Kochi heavy barrel, the tactical flash hider, the compact flashlight, and the Kochi heavy grip. Now, similar to the nail gun, this gun will suffer from magazine problems. So if you find the greatest hex on planet Earth, aka the Kochi drum mag, you'd need to swap out the heavy grip for the drum mag, because this is what's going to turn this gun into a killing machine and allow you to take more than one engagement. Now, other than the fact that this is a very ammo thirsty gun, it does have some alternatives that you're going to be looking for in the marketplace, such as the underbarrel, where you can put on the stabilizing foregrip for the Kochi. But something I want to remind everybody is the compact flashlight is virtually the same as any of the stabilizing foregrips. So here you could see, just taking a look at the recoil and accuracy, I get a little bit of both. But pay attention, if I go to the compact flashlight, I get a little bit of both. In fact, I get, like, literally, it's almost hard. You got to get a ruler to verify a smidge more accuracy at the sacrifice of recoil control. And I do think that trade-off is worth it. If there was a final build that I would have for this particular gun, it would be me getting rid of the heavy grip, because you really do not need the recoil control, and slapping on the Kochi drum mag. You only lose some mobility and handling, so you'll still be able to keep this huge accuracy bar, and it will turn that gun again into a killing machine, because that's exactly what it is. Now, that pretty much covers all of the SMGs in the game. I do think you need to keep the Tacoma as your #1 primary, and you can use any of these as a second SMG filler. And the loadout recommendation for you is double SMG. And this is something that's been around since the earlier seasons. And the way you take these fights is you push an opponent, you dump as many bullets as you can into that guy, swap your weapon, and finish getting the kill. And you basically want to bounce back and forth between the two SMGs while utilizing the soldier backpack. Now, with the semi-nerf to the soldier backpack, you're not going to be able to take engagements as frequently as you were before. But I'd say, just in a general, as an experienced player, if you're going to go in, take a 2v1 or a 3v1, the double SMG swip swap is going to be extremely effective, right? Dump a mag, swap, dump a mag, swap, dump a mag, because the soldier backpack will have refilled that Tacoma for you to be able to get back in there. Now, don't forget to tie in, right? Using those road runners and getting creative. Sometimes it's going to be run in, get somebody, run out, plate, run back in, crack somebody, swap SMGs, finish him, get out, plate, go back in for the finish. You get, just mix it up. You really got to get creative when you're running the double SMG setup. But that pretty much wraps up the section for SMGs, and we're going to go ahead and move forward and talk a little bit more about pistols. The pistol meta right now is also in an interesting spot. And I would say the #1 pistol that I'm going to recommend for everybody is the Type 227 Impact Junkie. Honestly, the 227's probably been one of the most reliable pistols in the entire game. We all love dropping back in with it early, or just starting out with it out the gate. And if you got a good headshot on you, you're going to win that fight each and every single time. And this is just a boosted steroid version of that same gun. So use it. It's probably the brand new Tap 9 of the meta currently. And the only other options that can compete with it are going to be the Type 227 Sleigh Baller. So again, more of that 227 action. And then the Kelowna is going to be a close third place. Honestly, I still think the Kelowna is more than able to compete, very reliable, and it has much more accessibility for the community because those other two weapons, right? The Sleigh Baller has to be essentially acquired during December when the Crackhead Santa Battle Pass package was available. And then the other one, which is the Impact Junkie, came from a Discord event where you needed to be able to redeem that for a limited time. Both of those are pre-built guns. There's no pages over here that I can show you how to like recreate or, you know, build those guns. However, the Kelowna, I can. And again, there's a lot of you who can go dunk hexes mid game. You can watch your favorite streamer and get some free hexes off Twitch. Whatever your method of choice is, this is going to be very obtainable. We put the compensator, the Kilowatt pack compact laser pointer, the Kelowna drum mag, and the Kelowna light grip. That's what has worked for me for a very long time. I know some other players as well who are doing the same thing. The only exception is maybe a swap out for something like the silencer or the noise suppressor if you think that you don't want to be seen or reduce some of that horizontal recoil. That pretty much wraps up pistols. There's not a lot of other really great options out there. So just a very quick recap, Kelowna and the two variety options, Playballer and Impact Junkie 227s. Now, moving on to the snipers. The sniper is pretty much, in my opinion, the best gun in the game. Step your game up, and you too will feel the same way. As you can see, we have the 2.5 to 4x. Fantastic gun. Very reliable. Or attachment, excuse me. And some people do like to use the 3x. I'm just personally not a fan of it. 2.5 I have more consistency with, and you might find that it's the same for you. The light stock, light grip, and the enhanced compensator are going to top out this build. If there was a swap out suggestion that I would have for you, it's maybe putting on the noise suppressor or the compensator. As you can see, compensator, it doesn't really give you a big boost in anything. The stats are virtually the same. And then the noise suppressor here is actually specifically for just being quieter and not putting a red dot there on the map. But in a meta that's dominated by recon drones, who cares about, a red dot being on the map? So the enhanced compensator is just my go-to, right? Better range, better mobility and handling, allowing you to pull this out quickly. And one of the things that I could recommend for you, if you're not somebody who wants to run the Tacoma build from before with the Kestrel setup, is to run double Kestrel. Same build, just run it 2 times. And you're going to have some really great results. Swap, quick scope, swap, snipe, and kill your target. Now, because you're going to be doing another SWIP swap build similar to the SMGs, I do recommend using that soldier backpack. Otherwise, you might find yourself stranded in a fight that, well, you ran out of ammo. And that's pretty much going to leave you high and dry or dead in the water, as they say. And that's all I got for the sniper rifles. Now, when it comes to the shotgun meta, it's still tried and true. I'll start off from the bottom and kind of work my way up the ladder when it comes to these, since I already have it on the page right here in front of me. But the Squall shotgun is still very reliable. You're going to be able to use that heavy stock, light grip, extended mag, and the tactical foregrip to just continue to spew as many shotgun slugs at your opponent as humanly possible. Now, the problem with this gun is it's just simply outpaced by the other shotguns, and they have a lot more consistency. I've had some strange moments with the Squall where I just start blasting away at somebody, and it seems like I'm throwing pebbles at them instead of getting the kill. And that's pretty much it. When we move forward, I'm going to talk about the the Influencer. I don't have any attachments on that currently, but I do have a recommended build for you. The first is going to be the stock. The heavy stock is going to be a tremendous reduction in recoil control. So that's going to be our first attachment. Our second attachment after that is going to be the extended slug magazine. This will boost you up from the 10 to the 12, and I just don't think it really has too bad a penalty in terms of mobility and handling. And then the influencer heavy barrel. This will give you a little bit of tiny range and some accuracy, as you can see over here. And I think that's invaluable for a gun or a shotgun, excuse me, that is focused more on accurate trade-offs from a close range perspective. And then in terms of the muzzle, I do not recommend using any of those, but instead probably putting on the flashlight. You'll notice you get recoil control again, and as I talked about earlier in the SMG section, a little dab of that accuracy. And that's exactly what we want when we're using this particular gun. Just to kind of recap that, that is going to be the heavy stock, the heavy barrel, the extended magazine, and then the flashlight. And you've got yourself a really, really strong influencer. Now, on to the king, the one that holds the crown. It's going to be the Flenser, and I do think the Flenser is still the most reliable. They did talk about adding the muzzles, but right now, as you can see, the muzzle gives you a pretty big recoil deduction, and I don't think the bullet spread is that much different. I just don't see a lot of value in swapping those out. One of them does claim that it, gives you a little bit better vertical and horizontal recoil control, but it's a shotgun. And if you're using these within shotgun ranges, you're not going to really notice a big difference. So I'm going to stick to this typical 3 attachment loadout, and it'll be heavy stock, heavy barrel, and a laser pointer. That'll help boost the range just a smidge and give you the recoil control. Best follow-up shotgun out of all 3 of them. There's so many times where I'm chasing somebody, I pull this thing back out, and I'm still able to shoot my target out the sky. It's extremely rewarding. 2 taps up close, 3 if they're medium range, and if they're a little beyond that close to medium, it's gonna take you 5 or 6, but it's still more than capable of being a great chaser. So take it out for a spin. And that's gonna wrap up the shotgun meta for us, folks. All right, let's talk about LMGs. These are gonna be real quick and simple. As to be quite honest with you, they're not really the cream of the crop right now. They're both good. If you pick them up, use them, but I just don't know if they're gonna be primary loadout kits. But if I were to run the Hawk, here's what I'd go ahead and slap on it. We'd go ahead and do the light grip, the 1.3 reflex sight, the lightweight barrel, and the enhance compensator. It's nice to have a little bit of extra sight on this just because you have so many rounds that, getting a little bit closer to your target tends to have its advantages and helps you really zero in on getting a few of those headshots. The other one I think that's going to be really useful for you is going to be the boom slang. I would absolutely choose this over the Hawk without a doubt. And what I personally run on that right now is going to be the boom slang heavy stock, the boom slang light grip, the flashlight, and the silencer for the boom slang. Like I said, they're not really like top priority weapons in the meta right now. You could use them if you like them, but really all I got. Let's go ahead and move on. Last but not least is going to be our assault rifle meta. If I were to start from the bottom and work my way up, I do think the Terracon is still a really great option for you to take out for those long range exchanges. Make sure you're hitting those headshots. Otherwise, this gun's kind of useless. Light stock, drum mag, heavy barrel, enhanced compensator. These are going to be the main tools for you to be successful and hit those long range shots, maybe a rooftop to rooftop engagement. But it is unfortunately going to be drastically outshined by the one and only M4. And in fact, I'm going to recommend, whether you're on PC or console, that this is probably one of the #1 guns in your loadout right now. Just like I would recommend the Tacoma, just like I would recommend the Kestrel, just like I would recommend the Flenser, I'm going to recommend the M4. Those are your top primary guns. So to build this, you just need to use the M4 heavy stock, the M4 light grip, the M4 drum mag, and the M4 noise suppressor. I said it in my last video, but this thing is a complete laser beam. And then if you're on controller and you have aim assist, now you have a super laser beam. And it has changed the overall flow and fluidity of the game. You can almost bet that your life is over if you're flying in the air right now, because anyone using an M4 on a controller is going to beam you out of the sky. It is what it is. That's the current state of the game that we're in. There are other M4s, or excuse me, other assault rifles that we could talk about, but they just really don't have enough value. M4 is just so damn good, and the Terracan is the best secondary, that these other four just really get outshined in terms of consistency. I do think the Casper has some pretty good opportunities. If you do like using the Jingle Jammer, it's not that bad. Like, take it for a spin. It actually kind of slaps. But do I have a build for it? Not currently, but I have a weird just gut feeling that in the future this is going to be a meta gun. I think we're going to get like you remember when Call of Duty was going through that weird like burst fire meta? I have a feeling that the Casper is going to get shown some love in a future update, and we're likely going to be seeing that gun take a spot. The Mavinga, a lot of new players enjoy the Mavinga. It's low on recoil, but when you start to kind of get into some more of those other exchanges, you notice that it doesn't have the consistency that something like the M4 has. Right? It's easy to get lost inside of that damage boost that you see right there, but the fire rate of the M4 immediately closes that gap. It's the same thing where if somebody's probably using a Kochi in the SMG wars, the Kochi has a higher damage ratio, but the Tacoma's going to beat you every single time because of the faster fire rate. So just some food for thought to take into consideration. And I know I left it out. Those other sniper rifles right now, the Osprey or the Ichnya, they're not worth it. Don't build them. Don't use them. Wait until the devs hopefully buff and improve those guns a little bit later down the road. Whew. That's it. That's the gun meta, folks. Now let's get to what we all came for. The limbs. I don't have a lot of good things to say right now. In fact, for those of you who know me, I have not been putting a lot of time into playing this game at all. I've been having a lot of fun playing Marvel Rivals, to be completely honest. But it's because this meta that we're in is stale, it's boring, it's repetitive, it's redundant, and there's nothing worse than playing a competitive shooter where you're losing to lesser competition. Not because they're aim assist on controller, even though that does play a factor, but because this terrible limb meta. Right now, everyone and their mom is running the Recon drone because it's free wall hacks. The cooldown on the limb itself is astronomically lower than the rest of its competition, and if you were to swap your backpack for a limb accelerator, congratulations, you've just cut that already incredibly low cooldown timer into an even lower cooldown timer. And if you now multiply this one limb by 3, guess what? There are going to be 3 players constantly cycling through recon drones, allowing them to essentially see people through the walls everywhere you go. Now, for a lot of players, if you did not know this, if you are shooting your weapon without a silencer, you've just put a red dot on the map. You're going to get hunted down. If somebody killed one of your teammates, similar to Call of Duty Resurgence, congratulations, you just put 2 more red dots of your teammates on the map. So that is how a lot of folks are finding out where everybody is and pushing you the way that they're pushing you. They're not cheating or anything like that, but what they're also doing is spamming recon drones, and you got to remember that. Now, to give you some pros instead of just cons, I want you to remember that the recon drone will have a high value at giving you not only someone's location, but what kind of limbs are attached to their body. If you see a sword sticking out of somebody's elbow, that is a clear indicator they are running Ripper, and you do not just want to run in there like Batman. You need to take that fight a lot more tactical and ease into things. You may also see that they have a bouncing bomber. Same thing. You need to be a little bit more tactical and ease into things. You see spikes coming out of their shoulders. You know they're running paralyzer, and there's a very good chance if you try and go in there and rip them or do whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to get stunned, frozen to place, and they're going to punish you for that behavior. So just be really conscious of how you're using your recon drone, other than the fact that, hey, it's free wall hacks. If you don't have them, somebody else will. So the only way to fight back is to match the meta. Now, there are a couple B tier options, right? If you're like, I don't want to use the A tier, S tier option, the B tier option is going to be Paralyzer. The only problem with this is it has the most ridiculous cooldown ever, like a minute. So as soon as you're done using Paralyzer, you're running around the map while everybody else gets to see you through the walls. And unfortunately, you're dead for. Now, while it's active, every single pulse that you hear does remove the recon status effect. So it's a really great counter to the recon drone. While it lasts, that is. And of course, it does give you the ability to be able to stun lock your opponent as well as see through walls similar to the recon drone. That's why it's a B tier option. If they were able to kind of tweak the cooldown timer a little bit, it might be able to be improved. If you're using this limb, the limb accelerator is. Now, other than the paralyzer, the ghost limb is probably going to be my close recommended number 3. Remember that this does counter the recon drone, but similar to the paralyzer, it also has a pretty stiff cooldown timer. Limb Accelerator will cut this down quite a bit, so I recommend pairing that with it as well. And these are my 3 most recommended tactical advantage limbs. Do you want data? Do you want to counter data? Do you want to hide and play cheeky? These have the best advantage from a tactical perspective. Just tack limbs. Now, let's talk about mobility limbs for just a moment because they're very important as well. I do believe Slam Fist is probably one of the most slept on and most viable limbs. I don't consider it a damage or offensive limb, even though it does have that capability. It's great at knocking people off ropes or just maybe getting a little bit of shield crack before you try and take a fight. But the animation from getting back and recovered is usually not worth it. Instead, what I use Slam Fist for is, let's say I'm fighting at the edge of the circle starts closing in. I just had to be a greedy bastard and kill that guy in front of me. Now I need to get back into the zone. So I could charge my Slam Fist, fly into the air, and get where I need to be in a split second's notice. If you were to use something like the hook shot, that is what we're going to talk about next, but I need you to remember you can't miss a Slam Fist into the air. You can miss a hook shot trying to get attached to something. So it's just kind of a little bit more reliable in that specific aspect. It's just quick, it's fast, it's reactive. Now, when it comes to the hook shot, I've always said this in the past, it is the best limb in the game. Not only do you get 4 charges from it, but if you're running something like Roadrunners that we see here, you're going to be spending a lot of time on the ground. And if you have an oh shit moment, you need to be able to get up and out of that situation. And the hook shot is going to be a really great option for this. Do your best not to miss it, and I think it'll just become probably one of your favorite limbs in the entire game. You could make like Merc Javi, pull somebody in and scream, "Get over here!" And suddenly, you're Scorpion from Mortal Kombat. So it does a lot of damage, and guaranteed shield crack if you're able to hit somebody with it. Same thing with the Slam Fist. If you're able to hit somebody with it, you're going to get a guaranteed shield crack. And from time to time, if they're already damaged, both those limbs are going to be able to get a finish for you, but they're mainly for mobility. One last quick little edit in I wanted to add with the hook shot is, do not forget you can actually send off your loadout drone and hook shot up onto that drone. It will literally pull you to the highest heights of the map. giving you some really awesome capabilities at reconning or surveying the area while you're up in the air. And if you're really sick at that kestrel snipe, shooting them out rooftops, cranes, or any of those high ground positions that you originally didn't have an advantage point of. I say this comes super, super in handy for those Trump Tower campers. We all know we can't stand those guys, but figured I'd throw this in there. You got your tactical limbs, you got your mobility limbs, and then, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about it. You know it was coming. You got your damn it one-shot kill limb problems in the game right now. They're ruining the game. Starting from the bottom is going to be Phosphor Fury. Phosphor Fury's already gone through a nerf that I think was extremely worth it. They kind of double nerfed it. Not only did they make it where the first charge is 60, the second charge is 100, but it's extremely audible. When somebody's charging this thing up, you're going to know. The only time it really becomes kind of an annoyance or a nuisance in the game right now is when you're really far away. Maybe you're trying to grab a free loadout, your loadout, or you're at a buyback station. Someone's probably going to pop you in the backside from a crane or from a rooftop, and you have no answer. There's just no answer to this, and you are a dead man. But I'd say in virtually any other scenario, it's in a pretty decent spot. It's an annoying limb. I get it. Some of you try and act like it's like ruining the game, but you should have been here 2 months ago. It would have been a completely different story. Now, carrying things on when it comes to the one-hitter quitter combo, it's definitely got to be the trip mine. It is so frustrating to be completely outplaying somebody, and then maybe they roadrunner away from you around the corner, and then they roadrunner right back in front of your face. You're trying to go for the finish, and they toss a trip mine on your nutsack. That's it. It's GG, baby. There ain't no coming back from that. Which is really weird because why is a trip mine thrown on my nutsack able to kill me in one hit? But if I were to run into a single mine in a doorway, it's just a crack on my armor. That doesn't make any sense. If a single mine cracks the armor, then why does it just apparently one shot kill me when it's stuck to my body? It's very overpowered right now. The devs did turn down the ability for you to toss this thing 50 feet, but there's still a lot of times where people are in the air right above you, and all they got to do is drop a trip mine on your face, and that's it. GG. If that thing sticks to your body, there's no coming back from that. And I do think it's something that's kind of ruining the game. Honestly, all one hit limbs are ruining the game, and it's why it's turning a lot of players away. Now, moving to the third one, it's got to be the Ripper, y'all. You knew it was coming. The Ripper is just it's been destroying the game for months. It's getting more noticed in the last month, but I've got videos going back 3 months ago telling you that this limb was going to be a problem. Not only does it crack your shields and takes off your arm, and in many cases takes off your arm and your secondary weapon, there's this 1.2 second stun. And it's not an actual stun, it's the animation of your character stuck trying to recover itself. And it pretty much guarantees a one-shot kill. There's a bunch of weirdos who honestly have been playing the game very long, and you could tell, and they're like, it doesn't want to hit you. Wah, 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 wah. If you can't kill somebody in that 1.2 second stun, that's a you problem. Because I don't know about you, if I hit somebody with this limb, that's it. They're a goner. When people hit me with this limb, that's it. I'm a goner. Now, in very rare circumstances, you could see it coming and you could roadrunner sidestep them, or you can leap into the air with leapers, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the fact that someone could be above you in the air where you have no idea. You are on the ground and they can literally land right behind you. They don't even have to land. They're about to land behind you, and then they hit their Ripper, dive down, and one tap you for the finish. That is the kind of gameplay that becomes dull, boring, uncreative, and extremely frustrating for the newer players. I would not want to play a game where I'm getting one hit tapped by a limb over and over and over, and I'd be happy if the devs did something about it. Now, you might be surprised. You're like, dang, Hollow didn't put Ripper at number 1? Is he crazy? He's been complaining about that thing for months. But that's because this brand new limb is your true game breaking limb, and it is the new and improved Bounce Bomber. Now, before I move forward and do anything else, what I'd like to do is just pull up this fun little video of mine because I think it exemplifies my frustration with this stupid ass limb. As you can see, I do not have good things to say about it, but let me give you a demonstration. Isn't that wonderful? See, what had happened here, folks, is we're nearing the end of the game, 3 to 4 teams left. I just finished wiping most of this guy's team, and he's running for his life. He's on the way to the buyback station, which I knew ahead of time, and I decided to drop in behind him, go for the finish. I clearly had the jump on him when I started shooting, and all he did was start spamming the bounce bomber in a heated panic. And that is the end result. And that is the most broken limb I have ever seen since the OG Paralyzer back in October. For a lot of you who weren't here in October, the Paralyzer used to be a limb with 3 charges, stunned you into place, and allowed people to get the finish. Now, this limb has 3 charges, virtually stuns you into place. It actually pulls you back into the original position. But when the grenades explode, kills you. So it's better than the Paralyzer meta that we had in October. Now, 3 charges times 3 players equals 9 opportunities to be absolutely royally fucked by this really broken limb. And I told you in my last video that was out that this thing was going to be breaking the game for at least a month and a half. And I'm right. And there's players who are using this more and more and more, and they're getting better and better and better. And now they are starting to lock you on the middle of a zip. They're starting to lock you in the air if you fly above them. It is going to be the most frustrating experience of your life. So if you want to go ahead and join the one-hit wonders, those are the ones I recommend. Bust out the Phosphor Fury, bust out those trip mines and throw them on people's nutsacks, bust out the Ripper, and bust out the Bouncing Bomber. And you can too ruin other people's experiences and push them from the game more and more and more. And you all might think I'm coping right here, but I'm here to tell you, as somebody who plays as a part of the PC community, there were thousands of us when we had first started. There is probably 50 common dogs, merc, some of them see cutthroat assassins, and a few other, like, these were common players that you would see on a regular basis. And now you only see the residual people who are just sticking around through the passion that they have for the game. Most of my team and community has said, fuck this shit, I'm out. I know Merc's in the same boat. Most of their team community has said, fuck this shit, I'm out. I know Dogs is in the same boat. Their community has said, fuck this shit, I'm out. The only people playing this game are the new batches of console players. And it is refreshing because you still can have some decent games, but like it's not fun just running around annihilating all of these inexperienced players who are coming from Apex Legends and Call of Duty. Like a little bit here and there is fun, you know, like everyone wants to drop a 20, 25, 30 bomb, but like, you know, I'll be honest, like pretty much every game or any game that I want to, I could focus up and drop a double digit game effortlessly. And I solo queue like 90% of my games. I just got to change how I'm approaching my fights, and I could just go ruin lives. And I know that's probably also pushing a lot of players away. So the problem with this game right now is the fact that there's one hit limb all over the freaking game right now, and it takes any kind of skill gap out of the game. And they have a really bad matchmaking system when it comes to just throwing these lobbies together. And the only way that experienced players have found a way to escape this is literally joining a Discord together, hopping in at the exact same time in hopes that we all find each other. And we refer to that as a scrim because the devs are incapable of actually pushing out an update to give us custom matches, or just push out an update to give newer players who are probably maybe under level 100 their own separate lobby. Anyways, y'all didn't come here for any of that hoorah blue blah or to hear me cry. You came here for loadouts to help you win games. So to quickly breeze through everything, here is just a real quick glimpse at some of the loadouts that I have paired together. Make sure you go back in the previous sections and look at the individual loadouts themselves that were posted up. And until next time, folks, peace, love, and happiness. It's been a pleasure.